They are the most wide.
Honorable guests and their friends. Assalamu alaikum to everybody.
So in the end, it is the intellectual as a representative figure that matters. Someone who visibly represents a standpoint of some kind, or someone who makes articulate representations to his or her public despite all sorts of barriers. They are individuals with a vocation for the art of representing, whether that is talking, writing, teaching, or appearing on the TV. And that vocation involves both risk and commitment, boldness and vulnerability. The purpose of the intellectual's activity to advance human freedom and knowledge. This is still true despite the oft-quoted charge that grand narratives of emancipation and enlightenment, as French philosopher Voltaire tells us, are no more valid. Now there are smaller narratives of the local situations, because he has not...
People of eminence here, let the seeds be sown, the tree will grow, because the soil is very fertile. It's also... Mr. Malik, Mr. Zahid defined the roles, and we had a lot of theoretical abstract academics from Dr. Hamida on roles, responsibilities, and so on and so forth. But what disturbed me was that you actually define something in a manner that you choose to define, and then expect certain things to be done because you have defined in a certain manner. In a not so correct parallel, give the dog a bad name and hang him. In some ways, we define the intellectual in a manner which is very convenient to us. And we are also hoping, and I refer this particularly to Mr. Zahid as well as to Professor Malik, that as if intellectuals drop from heaven as manna. Do they? They don't. It's not the wickedness of the perceived enemy of peace in J&K, but a very deep-seated, paralyzing internal malaria. The problem is not of the intellectual, it's the powerlessness of our civil society. This is, and in this case, neither the government of India, nor the government of J&K, nor any other government has a solution. It's a problem.
ऐसा लगता है कि उनमें टेम्पटेशन पॉलिटिशियन बनने की, they are scared, probably they may be थोड़ी सी स्पेस बच के रह गई है, शायद ये भी लोग न खा जाए.
Within the Hindus, and more particularly within the Brahmins, who constituted the clergy or the elite section of that society. The civil society. आप लोगों का ज्यादातर ये जर्नलिज्म, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी वगैरह ये सारी टर्म्स जो हैं ये एकेडमिक हैं इन नेचर, तो इसको समझाना बहुत मुश्किल होगा मेरे लिए. लेकिन इज ऑफ रिप्रेशन एंड ऑपरेशन the people of Kashmir from the occupation of India. These two separate ideas.
So I'm not going to sermonize. I know my role. It is for you to judge. For your information, my book, it is an anthology of the essays which I largely contributed to Greater Kashmir. 2 years or so, and some of the Indian Express and other papers. So it was supposed to be released by the Chief Minister of Kashmir a few days ago, along with 12 books or so. So fortunately, he did not release it. So he said that I will not release it because there is some material in it. And what is the material? So it is for you to judge. So the book has not been released yet. It will be released in due course now because it contains certain articles as a historian. So let me come to the point now. Crisis and historian, I believe, are synonyms in a history.
So I omitted that also in what I thought I would say. I just realized it when I walked in a little bit earlier today. Nevertheless, I would regard that Kashmir is shorthand for J&K state, and so therefore I feel perhaps some attempts I can make as we go along.
Whenever I started writing some political stories, and I was advised by senior journalists at that time, I'm talking of 88, that don't write these political stories, write on Imran Khan, write on Kapil Dev, write on Steffi Graf. So I was not discouraged. It was an appetizer for me. So I began writing. I made up my mind that I will write whatever comes to my mind, what is relevant to the society, to Kashmiri society. But one thing I found, I was out
in its philosophy. I do not agree with a single word of what you say, but I will defend your right to say so till my last breath. This philosophy of Voltaire.
Distinguished friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the success of a seminar depends on the heat it generates, and I think quite a considerable amount of heat has been generated, and there have been moments when our friends wanted to perhaps take the dice by storm. Although very humble, but then it was a very good. About the role of Intelligentsia, which has been deliberated very exhaustively from the morning, I would make a very simple conclusion that it's not perhaps our role to resolve the conflict, but our role should be at least to reveal the conflict in its entirety and it is candid and truthful. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. It is not just for the इस शोर से कि मैं भी यहाँ पे ही रहूँ, इस कोई बात नहीं है। शुक्रिया पहले फैज साहब का, फिर सारी एंटायर टीम का। सुबह से मैंने देखा है ऑब्जर्व विद इंटरेस्ट। ये थर्ड टॉपिक था, जबरदस्त चीज़ें जो सामने आई। एक शहर जो मैं आपकी नजर करूँगा, नॉट फॉर द स्टेट ऑफ इंटरनेट, लेकिन उसमें एक मकसद है, उसमें एक पैगाम है। आपने जो इंटेलेक्चुअल और